The first rays of the morning sun stretched across the small town of Willow Creek as children hurried through the gates of the old elementary school. Laughter echoed through the hallways, backpacks bounced on tiny shoulders, and the sound of cheerful voices filled every corner of the building. But inside classroom 4B, there was one person who carried a secret sadness behind her warm smile. Her name was Mrs. Sarah Thompson, a teacher loved by every student in the school. She had spent more than 25 years teaching children, helping them discover their talents, overcome their fears, and believe in themselves. To her students, she was more than a teacher. She was a second mother, a guide, and a person who never gave up on them. If a child forgot their lunch, she shared hers. If someone struggled with reading, she stayed after school to help. If a student came to class with tears in their eyes, she always knew how to make them smile again. But recently, something had changed. Her bright eyes seemed a little tired, and her smile disappeared whenever she thought nobody was watching. No one noticed. Except one student. His name was Ethan Parker, a quiet 10-year-old boy who sat in the third row near the window. Ethan wasn't the smartest student in the class, nor was he the most popular, but he had something rare, a heart that noticed the pain of others. Every day, he watched Mrs. Thompson carefully. He noticed how she stared at an old photograph hidden inside her desk during lunch. He noticed how she wiped away tears when she thought the classroom was empty. And he noticed how she still smiled and encouraged everyone, even when her own heart was hurting. One afternoon, after the final school bell rang, Ethan stayed behind. "Mrs. Thompson," he asked softly, "are you okay?" The teacher looked surprised. "Of course, Ethan," she replied with a gentle smile. "Why do you ask?" Ethan looked down. "Because sometimes people say they're okay when they don't want others to worry." For a moment, Mrs. Thompson could not speak. No adult had noticed her sadness. Yet this little boy had. She looked at the photograph in her hands and finally told him the truth. "It's my son, Michael," she whispered. Ethan looked at the picture of a smiling young man. "Where is he?" A tear rolled down her cheek. "Michael passed away 5 years ago in a car accident. He was 20 years old. He dreamed of becoming a teacher, just like me." The classroom became silent. Ethan's eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Thompson." She smiled sadly. "It still hurts every day. But my students give me a reason to keep going." That night, Ethan could not stop thinking about his teacher. He remembered all the times she had helped him. When he struggled to read in first grade, she encouraged him. When his parents were going through a difficult time, she comforted him. When he believed he wasn't good enough, she told him, "Ethan, kindness and courage are the greatest talents anyone can have." Suddenly, Ethan had an idea. The next morning, he arrived at school earlier than everyone else. He carried a small empty box, some colorful paper, and a handwritten note. Quietly, he went to his classmates and told them about Mrs. Thompson's sadness. "Mrs. Thompson has spent years making us feel loved," Ethan said. "Maybe it's our turn to show her she's not alone." One by one, the children agreed. Some drew pictures. Some wrote letters. Some shared their favorite memories with her. A little girl wrote, "Dear Mrs. Thompson, you helped me believe I was smart when I thought I was not." Another student wrote, "You are the reason I love coming to school every day." Even children who usually never spoke in class placed small messages inside the box. By the end of the week, the box was overflowing with letters, drawings, and tiny gifts made from the hearts of children. Ethan called it the box of 1,000 smiles. On Friday afternoon, after the last lesson ended, Ethan walked to the front of the classroom holding the decorated box. "Mrs. Thompson," he said nervously, "we have something for you." The teacher smiled. "Oh, Ethan, you didn't have to do anything." "Yes, we did," he answered. The entire class stood behind him. We wanted you to know that even though Michael isn't here, a part of him lives on through everything you teach us." Those words broke the walls around Mrs. Thompson's heart. Tears streamed down her face as she opened the box. She read every single letter. Every drawing. Every message of love. For the first time in 5 years, the pain of losing her son was not the only thing she felt. She felt something she had forgotten. She felt surrounded by family. She looked at her students with tears in her eyes. "You have given me the greatest gift anyone could ever receive," she whispered. "You reminded me that love never truly disappears. It continues through the lives we touch." Years passed. The students of Classroom 4B grew up and followed different paths. Some became doctors. Some became artists. Some became teachers. But none of them forgot Mrs. Sarah Thompson. And Mrs. Thompson never forgot the little boy who taught her one final lesson about kindness. The students of Classroom 4B grew up and followed different paths. Some became doctors. Some became artists. Some became teachers, but none of them forgot Mrs. Sarah Thompson. And Mrs. Thompson never forgot the little boy who taught her one final lesson about kindness. Years later, when she retired from teaching, she brought a small old box with her to the farewell ceremony. The same box of 1,000 smiles. Its colors had faded, and the paper had become old, but the love inside remained untouched. Holding the box in her hands, she looked at the audience and said, "People often think teachers teach children everything they need to know. But sometimes, a child teaches a teacher how to heal." In the crowd stood a grown-up Ethan, now a teacher himself. Tears filled his eyes as he remembered the day he simply noticed that someone was hurting. That one small act of kindness changed a broken heart. And the lesson lived on for generations. Because you do not need to be rich, powerful, or old to make a difference. Sometimes, the smallest hands carry the biggest hearts. The lesson lived on for generations. Because you do not need to be rich, powerful, or old to make a difference. Sometimes, the smallest hands carry the biggest hearts.